Hello and welcome to Video Game Hangover. I'm Randy Dickinson and I'm in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Hello, I'm DJ Ross. I'm in Mountain View, California.
Each week on Video Game Hangover, we talk about the games that have been keeping us up at night. This week, that list includes Time on Frog Island and Fragrant Story.
Aha.
Awkward silence.
That's it. I mean, the two games that are top of mind, everybody listening to this.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Well, listen, the cat game is not out yet. The whole world is looking for the thing that they can play and hopefully finish before the cat game comes out. And yeah, for me, that was Time on Frog Island.
I'm surprised how much traction that cat game is getting. I mean, it's by the time you listen to this, it's out. And
yes,
everybody loves it, apparently.
We'll be talking about it next week. So
yeah, it was like the most wishlisted game on Steam for a while.
Yeah.
Like that's surprising.
Yeah. Previously that position was occupied by the Next Day, that Division-like post-apocalyptic shooter type game. That's
what I want.
The internet clearly made a hard pivot into Stray, a game where you're a cat who knocks things over and also appears to be a post-apocalyptic setting.
Yeah. But more on that next week.
Yeah.
Before we do an entire show of Stray hype. Although, maybe that's what people want.
Yeah.
Apparently it is.
People hungry for that Stray content, yeah. Although, like you said, though, DJ, we should have done that last week, because by the time this episode comes out, Stray will be out in the world and people will have played it, so.
Right. Okay, What's coming out next week that we can start talking about?
I don't know.
Splatoon 3.
You're like 2 months early.
Well, gotta get a head start on it.
That's how hype works, exactly. You want to be the first.
Yeah.
Speaking of hyping things, we want to hype the Backlog Attack. That's coming up.
It is.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, that's like a few weeks out.
That is, just a couple of weeks away. So we are dedicating the month of August to digging into our backlogs. We've done some version of this, I think, every year that we've done the podcast. Is that accurate?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Do we do one the first year? Do we know what we were doing back then? Who knows?
I mean, I have the outline somewhere. I could go back and check.
No way to answer that question.
Right. No. Yeah. We've deleted all evidence of those early podcasts off the internet. So Backlog Attack will be happening this August. We're going to play 4 old games from our backlogs, 4 weeks, for 4 weeks, to try to, clear some of those up, try to get some of those old games done.
Yeah.
We would love for you guys to play along with us. You can pick 4 backlog games of your choice, and tear into them in the month of August. Try to cross those off your lists. We usually do a little contest that coincides with this. For the most impressive feat of backloggery, that person will win the new release game of their choice. Jump in, play along with us. Join our Discord. We have a Backlog Attack channel set up. We'll be talking about the games that we're playing. We would love for you to do that as well.
Yeah. Always a lot of fun. One of my favorite events that we do here every year. Just fun to get into some old and undiscovered, potentially, games. And it's always fun to see what everybody else is playing as well.
Yeah.
But just so you have a heads up, if you want to participate in the contest, you just have to have 4 games decided on by the time August 8th rolls around. And then it will be your mission to complete them through the rest of the month.
Yeah. Or complete enough of them that it is the most impressive feat of backloggery.
Right, that's true, yeah. We'll elaborate on that more, but the most impressive feat does not always necessarily equate to 100%ing each game.
Right.
Or even seeing the credits on each game.
Although, if I remember correctly, last year's winner just went to town on a couple of really difficult, really long RPGs and somehow hammered through all of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Not sure if we're going to see see that happen 2 years in a row, but you may be up against some stiff competition, so.
Yeah. Not to dissuade anybody from participating.
Yeah, no, it's still a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to it. So
yeah, definitely.
It'll be good.
You'll get the ad for joining our Discord at the end of the show, but as always, there is a link to that at VGHangover.com. Yeah, you should go do that.
Yeah.
So how's your summer going, DJ? You doing anything fun? Anything, fun in the sun kind of things?
Oh, no. It's just real hot outside, so I'm staying out of the sun.
Yeah.
That's my plan. I don't fun in the sun. Sure, if that's your thing. I'm having fun in my dark cave where no light gets in.
Fun in the air conditioning.
Yeah. It's the year of vampires. I gotta, stay inside. I only go out at night.
You're staying on theme for that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Doing my part.
This mental image of DJ lives in California. Naturally, he goes to the beach every single day.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I used to until the year of vampires, and now I gotta stay inside.
Are you a beach guy? Do you go to the beach? Do you enjoy that? Is that a thing you aspire to?
Not at all.
No, really? Okay.
No. Why would you even think that?
No, I don't know.
This is just the California thing.
Yeah, I think it's usually the California thing.
Okay, so I don't mean to ruin your perception of all Californians, but that's what your mental picture is. And sure, I go to the beach almost daily. Take my surfboard.
Yeah.
Take whatever else you bring to the beach, and
a blonde girl in a convertible, according to all the commercials I see for tourism in California.
Yeah, just drive on down to the beach.
Yeah,
it's great. It's great. You should try it. You should come out here with extra surfboard waiting just for you.
It's important that we challenge these stereotypes, these harmful stereotypes of Californians.
Right. Yeah. No. Californians are just such an oppressed group.
Yeah. I feel like summer's kind of wasted on me too. There are very few windows where it's not 96 degrees and sweaty and humid and gross outside where I want to go out and do stuff. And every now and then something will pop up on the calendar, like music festival or food truck thing or something like that outside, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna be a lot of sunblock, and I'm gonna have to wear a hat, and I don't have a good head for a hat, so it's really the last resort decision.
That's how I make most of my decisions. Do I need sunblock for this? Then probably not going to do it.
Then I'm gonna sit this one out. Thank you. Yeah. No, I never feel good in sunblock. I just feel greasy. I feel heavy. It's not a good feeling. But then if you don't wear it, bad things happen.
Or you could just wait till the sun is not there anymore.
True.
And then go.
But then, see how this works is the bugs come.
The bugs come. No, there are no bugs out here.
No bugs in California? Maybe that's the selling point. Yeah, is that. But no, it's the minute the sun goes down in Pennsylvania, the bugs come alive. And it's just, Yep. I ran out last night to take the recycling out to the curb because Monday is recycling day, and mosquitoes everywhere. Could not get back to the house without, multiple mosquito bites. And I was gone 3 minutes.
Yeah. No, not really a thing out here. No mosquitoes.
Gross.
Yeah, no, that's disgusting.
All right. Well, I'm going to move to California and just live on the beach and.
All right. Excellent. Yeah.
Enjoy a mosquito-free life.
Got your surfboard all warmed up for you. I don't know what that means.
I can't imagine a reality where I would ever be successful on a surfboard.
Oh, no. Me neither, despite, owning multiple surfboards. It's just for decoration, really. Just surfboards in Animal Crossing. You don't actually use them for anything. They're just kind of for the ambiance. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That is the perfect distillation of surfboard ownership in Animal Crossing is you can't actually surf with them. You just put them on your beach and it looks like beach things sort of happen there. Yeah. I mean, that's weirdly everything in Animal Crossing, or 99% of the furniture. And it's been that way since the entirety of the series. I don't know why it still surprises me. But whenever the cool new furniture item would show up in the shop, I'd just be like, ooh, what do they got this time? Well, it's a hot tub or a little mountain spring or whatever. Can you just get in the hot tub? No. Why would you even think that? Yeah, that's true. There is sort of a lack of functionality beyond just being decorative to 99% of the things in Animal Crossing. Right. If you're lucky, you can turn it on and off, but that is usually the extent of the interaction. Yeah.
Which is exactly what I do like in my daily rounds when I go to my villagers' houses. I just barge in and
just show up and
interrogate
start clicking
them.
other light switches.
Turn their TVs on and off, turn their hot tubs on and off.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, they never really get into what all the villagers actually think of you, the player character. But if you just imagine like you're just minding your own business at home, and suddenly the mayor of the island shows up, and it's like, what does this do? What does this furniture do? And they're just like flicking your TV on and off. It's like, oh, this guy again. He just did this yesterday.
One of the things that I dreaded in the, and yes, we're having an Animal Crossing conversation now, dreaded in New Horizons, the right? Which was the previous? No, this was New Horizons. What was the 3DS one?
New Leaf.
New Leaf. I dreaded in New Leaf is that the villagers could stop by your house for a visit.
Oh, yeah. Well, they do that in New Horizons, too.
They just started doing it. Like, it wasn't, well, not just started, but it was part of a late patch. It wasn't in the original version of the game. So we all had a good 10 months of playing Animal Crossing.
10 months of privacy.
Unharassed by our villagers. But then, they patched the game. And now, anytime I'm at home doing anything, rearranging, cleaning out my closet, just changing clothes for, to make my my outfit, I don't know, more appropriate for the weather outside. Somebody wants to stop by and chat and play a card game with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine if people just did that in real life. It'd be like you're on a sitcom or something. Just be minding your own business. Somebody walks in your front door.
Kramer. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I moved 5 hours away from my parents, so my mom would stop dropping by. So.
Oh, no. It just pops into your apartment and turns the TV on and off.
Yeah. I mean, it's charming in college because she would bring groceries and stuff like that. So, cool. Living in the same hometown as my parents, that's not such a bad deal. But then, when you're in your 30s, it's slightly less cool.
Yeah.
And I can afford my own groceries.
Yeah. Well, I mean, always nice to have your folks drop by with some groceries.
Sure. I mean, no disrespect to my mom.
But not like, maybe not every day unannounced. Or I don't know what was going on. I don't know what the cadence was.
Yeah. No.
It does seem like it's every day unannounced with the Animal Crossing villagers, though.
This is true.
Like, I don't play that often anymore, but I do remember the last few times I logged in, I was just like, what was going on in my house the last time I played this? And within seconds, somebody had showed up.
Somebody dropped by.
Like, leave me alone. Now I can't move any of my furniture around. Such an imposition.
At some point, I got a little DIY kit to make a changing booth. Mm-hmm. I think you're supposed to build it on the beach for people to put on their bathing suit when they go to the beach, kind of thing.
Yeah. But you don't have to explain a changing booth to me, the Californian.
Oh, okay. I apologize. Excuse me. But I put one of those outside of my house, so that I wouldn't have to be inside to change clothes. So I could just change clothes in the booth without anybody stopping by. I built a whole mechanism around making sure I don't have to entertain my villagers when they pop over.
God, the lengths that you have to go to just have a normal existence.
It's like the same 3 lines of conversation, and they want to play the same dumb card game. And they're like, well, I don't want to overstay my welcome. And then the game actually gives you the option to say, no, stay longer.
Well, maybe some people are really into it.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not one of those people.
Some people are just too polite. And they're like, oh, no, stay as long as you want. And then the next thing you know, it's midnight and everybody else has gone to bed.
Yeah. You should have a little emoticon in Animal Crossing for, oh, look at the time.
Yeah. Oh, I've got a phone call. I've got to take this.
I'll catch up with you at work tomorrow.
Yeah.
So what are you playing lately? When was the last time you played Animal Crossing?
Let me think about this. I missed the Cherry Blossom event.
Okay.
So I did not play. I probably haven't played since before April.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I want to say New Year's, but it may have very well been New Year's 2021.
It's still a pretty good long run for you.
Yeah. I mean, I played this one for longer than I was expecting. I was really into it for a while. I was doing the whole terraforming thing.
I remember.
But I don't think I made it a full year, though. But that's pretty impressive. You play any game almost daily for the better part of a year.
Oh, yeah.
How many games can you say that about?
None. Not a single one. No. Not even previous Animal Crossing. So,
yeah.
You
know what I have been playing almost daily for I mean, it's not quite the better part of a year yet, but it has been a daily ritual. About a month ago, I talked about that I was playing that Hatsune Miku colorful stage rhythm game.
Oh, yeah.
And I had to confess, for the last, I guess it's been about a month because it just expired. But I was partaking in the premium subscription to this game.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was kind of a surprise to me as well. It just got to the point, like, with a lot of these free-to-play games, we've talked about this whenever we talk about a mobile game, it seems like, but if I get really into a game that is offered to me for free, and I'm, enjoying it, I will look around for whatever option there is in the shop to, give back a little bit, and maybe, get some crystals or gems for, the exchange or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I was like, okay, Hatsune Miku, let's see your starter pack of gems or whatever it is. And sure enough, they had some starter packs in there, but they also had this thing. They had like a monthly subscription. And I was like, what is this? I don't play a lot of games with a subscription, let alone like mobile games with a subscription.
Yeah.
So this must be incredible if they're able to get people hooked on this. And I thought, well, why not? We'll give it a try. And especially because they were very clear to point out that for the first month you have this thing, it's half price. So I thought, well, that is, who could say no to that? So I did it. I decided that was going to be sort of my in with this game. And see, maybe I'll discover that it really is worthwhile to have a subscription to this thing. Mm-hmm. Plus, it's just kind of weird. Like, at the end of the day, it's just a rhythm game. Like, notes come down from the top of the screen and you push buttons at the bottom of the screen.
Right, yeah.
So how much is a subscription going to augment that experience? I mean, it's also like a gacha game, so I probably should have been expecting it's probably going to have more to do with that than just the basic rhythm game.
Right.
But anyway, I got this thing, and it was great because it came with a bunch of crystals. It gave me, it doubled the points I would earn on each song. And it had a bunch of other little perks too. But it got me thinking, okay, so I have this for the next month. How do I take full advantage of this thing while it's in effect? So I did what the only sensible thing is I joined the subreddit for Hatsune Miku Colorful Stage. And I just looked up all the pro player guides. Somebody had put up this nice Google Doc, which was surprisingly comprehensive, especially in contrast to what the game tells you about sort of how to play and all the mechanisms at work, which is almost nothing in comparison to this just fan-assembled Google Doc. And they were like, oh yeah, so here's how to build your team so you can maximize your points on each song that you earn. So if you remember when I talked about this, I was not able to score above a C grade on any song for whatever reason.
That sounds familiar, yeah.
Yeah, so I just read through this whole thing. I got this really kind of intense look into sort of the life of a professional, well, not a professional, but an enthusiast colorful stage player. All in the name of just trying to get the most out of the subscription. And let me tell you, I came away slightly terrified at my impression of the typical sort of hardcore player of this game. Because I don't know how you play music games. I will typically, have a few minutes, or if I'm looking for something to do, I'll just load it up and play 3 or 4 songs or whatever. Which songs am I going to play? I don't know, whatever I feel like at that particular moment.
Right.
But here's the thing. That's not how you, top the leaderboards in this in a Hatsune Miku mobile game. In order to do that, in order to sort of rank up in one of these rotating sort of, they have rotating events every week and a half or so. People have basically figured out how to maximize sort of their earnings on each song. And what that translates into practically is they just find the longest songs and they become really good at that one specific song so they can just, do a full combo on it every time. And then because you have this, consumable energy meter, that's in most mobile games, whenever you do a level or something, you have to spend some energy. They found the most sort of, efficient balance of, the energy you spend versus the points payout at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So they, tweak their energy so they're only spending that exact amount every single time. And they just play the same song over and over again until they've expended all their energy, and they just like take a break and wait for it to regenerate or whatever. To the point where I was seeing all these posts that were just like, oh man, is anybody else just sick of this one song? Like, I don't know, whatever the meta recommended song was that week. And they're like, yeah, you should have been here a month ago and it was this other song, which is like twice as long.
Oh my God.
So I was just like, oh my God, you guys. I was getting into this just thinking everybody was, fan of Hatsune Miku. They just wanted to play a fun music game. And here you guys are just like slaving away at this thing like it's, your job. So it's kind of terrifying.
Yeah. Jeez. Man, I've not played a rhythm game with any degree of regularity since the Rock Band era. So, yeah. And we were always super casual about it. We would occasionally do like little tours and little competitions and stuff like that. But it was never going for like score attack. It was always Sarah and I just trying to best each other more than anything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll confess I would occasionally peek over at the Rock Band leaderboards, like the friend leaderboards, just so I could see how I was doing compared to other people. But
yeah, never with the intent of being the best in the world or anything crazy like that. There's that.
Right.
Like I had struggled getting just beyond sort of medium on most things in Rock Band. So I was certainly not doing Through the Fire and Through the Flames on professional.
Yeah. Neither was I. But just imagine if those leaderboards were, global for every single person playing the game. And also they reset every week.
Ugh.
So you had to just like reestablish yourself so you could earn those top scorer rewards every single week.
That sounds exhausting.
I was just like, oh my God. So I ended up, I did end up playing this quite a bit over the last month just because, I was really into it and I had this subscription thing going, so might as well. But I definitely did not, probably never played the same song more than twice in a row.
How much are you paying per month for this?
So the intro stuff, I think, was $15.
Oof.
So if you can imagine, it's like at full price, like once that first month wears off, it's like $30 a month.
Holy cow.
Which, I thought about it and like, that's a lot of money, but it comes with all these crystals and everything. So if you're buying those anyway, then I could see that's probably justified, especially if you're playing this to the point where you actually are in the top of the leaderboards all the time.
And what do the crystals get you?
Oh, they're just for the gacha thing. So they let you spin the slot machine more often.
Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly.
That sounds like a lot. $1 a day, man. That's not a lot I would spend $1 a day on.
Yeah, well, you put it that way, it doesn't sound like that much. I mean, $30 a month for a game you're really into?
Yeah.
It's more than I pay for Final Fantasy, which is kind of shocking, but...
yeah. I don't have any video game subscriptions, I don't think. Do I? No.
No?
Yeah. I mean, I pay for the New York Times so I can read the New York Times and do the Wordle. So,
do you have to, you don't have to pay for Wordle now, do you?
I don't think you have to pay for it, no, but you also, there's like the crossword puzzle and they have 2 or 3 other little fun games in there and stuff too that I check into on a semi-regular basis. Yeah. And we've kind of kept up with the Wordle, so Sarah and I challenge each other daily on that. This recurring theme in our relationship of being better at something than the other one. Yeah. No, there's not a lot. I have all the usual subscriptions to Hulu and Netflix and all that stuff, but as far as video games go, there's not much. There's nothing I can think of that I have a subscription to or have had a subscription to. I've never been an MMO guy or anything, so.
Yeah, I think it's just been Final Fantasy for me. I can't think of any other subs that have come up. There was Apple Arcade, but I canceled that. That's part of the Netflix model anyway. But I don't know. I'm not trying to judge these people paying for the premium subscription.
No, do your thing.
I feel like I think you actually do get the value out of it since you get that bundle of crystals every month. But I also, like in all the other gacha games I played, I definitely did not purchase that many crystals every month. So probably not really worthwhile for me.
Yeah.
So I just came away from this kind of terrified, and I did not renew the subscription after a month. I feel like, maybe I'll just take a little break from the game because I also was, like I said, I was playing this daily. I feel like I've burnt myself out on it a little bit.
Yeah. There are Hatsune Miku games on consoles, right, that don't require a subscription or a gotcha mechanism or a pay to win kind of thing. So you can definitely consume all the K-pop and J-pop you want without having to subscribe, I imagine.
That's true. But I mean, you can continue playing this. You don't need the subscription to play it. You just get more stuff if you have it. Yeah. So I'll just check in every once in a while. Like, it still continues to be really fun.
Well, that's important.
As a plus, I just have less interaction with the community now, which I think is like frightening.
Yeah. Probably a good call too.
Yeah. I mean, I've been thinking about this in the context of a lot of games lately, because just like Monster Hunter just had a thing come out. I'm always sort of checking the Final Fantasy discussion boards. But a lot of the time I come away from these things just thinking like, I don't know if I want to hang out with any of these people. I get that we're all into the same stuff, but man, they're into it for very different reasons than I am into it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird to me. I'm just wondering, like, you think it'd be this amazing thing to find a bunch of people who are like, oh yeah, we all like love playing Monster Hunter. We should play Monster Hunter sometime. And then you get into a group with them and they're just like, oh, I am not enjoying this anymore. That's not what I expected to happen.
Yeah. I used to be in the like r/gaming on Reddit, and it got super toxic and I sort of stepped away from it.
Oh yeah, and I got
unsubscribed. I'm like, I can't have that in my feed anymore. And then, there's the inevitable rise of like r/true gaming and r/adult gaming or civilized gaming or whatever the heck it's called. And I'm like, well, this should be interesting.
Right. It's like the sixth time they've rebuilt the Matrix or whatever. Like, maybe we'll get it right this time.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, at some point it's just, you have to admit that maybe interacting with a lot of random strangers about video games on the internet is probably not, probably not the easiest, scenario to find yourself in.
Yeah, it's tough, especially when it's just, the one or the largest community for whatever game that is, because that's sort of where the largest bulk of people ends up. And it takes all kinds.
Right. Yeah. Any party that you invite 1 million subscribers to or 1 million people to is going to be problematic.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah. Not to disparage our cool little community and our Discord, which you should absolutely subscribe to and is not toxic in the least.
Oh, yeah. No, our community is great. I'm definitely not talking about any of those people. If there's somebody who's problematic in there, I've not noticed up to this point.
No.
Not many people playing Hatsune Miku in there. That's probably why.
This is true. It does make it a little harder to sort of sync up with people who are like-minded.
Oh, man.
So, yeah.
But anyway, just a, harrowing Hatsune Miku story. And a weird experience with the subscription. As I said, I canceled it. Don't know if I see myself going back. I'm not that level of player. But it's interesting. It seems like, a lot of people are, so good for them. Yeah.
Listen, I don't mind. And you and I've talked about this before, the mobile games every now and then, where if I feel like I've gotten like a goodly amount of content for free, I don't mind kicking them a couple bucks for a little thing. Like, they did the work.
Yeah.
They didn't come at me too strong begging for money every 10 minutes. And so, yeah, I feel like I should chip in every now and then, support the manufacturer of video games. But yeah, $30 a month is a big ask. There's not a lot of things I would pay $30 a month for.
Yeah. I mean, you'll be pleased to know that they do have 2 lower cost tiers of the subscription, which, I don't know. Maybe if I get super into it again, I'll think about it. But for now, I'm fine with just being a free-to-play player.
It just relegates you to another little side channel where they're like, oh, all the lower paying tiers are over here.
Yeah, you stay in the free section.
Yeah, this is the executive lounge. You can't hang out in here.
Yeah, exactly.
So when not playing Hatsune Miku, what have you been playing?
So when not playing that, I played this silly little game on the 3DS called Fragrant Story.
The 3DS?
It's with an F. Yeah, 3DS, remember that thing? It had 2 screens.
Crazy.
So I think, like, you were the one who brought this to my attention, and it's kind of notable. If I remember correctly, it has the distinction of being the final 3DS game to get a physical release.
That is my understanding of it as well, yes.
And maybe a digital release. I'll just check that one. But
I actually just read an article just recently about a developer who is releasing a new game on the 3DS eShop this week.
Oh, they're still making them. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what's the new game? Fragrant Story 2.
I'm on the spot. I don't have it in my head, but
okay, but yeah. So they are still putting stuff on the eShop.
Yeah, I mean, it's not thousands of releases. There are not tons of these things coming out, but yeah, it's still happening. But I think you're correct in saying that the less physical release, other than rando like limited run kind of stuff, even that is probably not a lot of 3DS happening there. But I believe Fragrant Story was the last one to come out. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I feel like this was a limited release. I don't know if you could just go into a store and buy Fragrant Story. I mean, I don't know if most stores even have a 3DS section still.
Yeah, there's that too. Yeah.
But anyway, it caught my attention because of that, and also because it is just blatantly a parody of like 5 or 6 different Squaresoft RPGs from sort of the PS1 or actually PS2 era before, like going back to the Super Nintendo, right down to the name, which I'm not sure if you caught it, is a riff on Vagrant Story, which just so happens to be my favorite game of all time. So this popped up and I was just like, wait a minute. Somebody else has played Vagrant Story, first of all. But also, what is going on with this game?
Yeah, no, I had no idea that was a riff on Fragrant Story.
Okay.
Or Vagrant Story. So, yeah, that was lost on me until you just explained it 30 seconds ago.
When you started up the developer logo, which I think is not actually the guy's actual development studio, or maybe it is. Yeah, maybe this is just the name he uses for everything, but it's Squire Games. But the logo is stylized in a way where it is just clearly a what do you call it? A ripoff of the Square logo from the 90s. So I was like, okay, I see what's going on with this thing. This is going to be silly. But what it is basically a very, very light version of Final Fantasy Tactics, or Tactics Ogre, or one of those sort of isometric grid-based tactics games. The premise is also silly. The game takes place in this kingdom where you are tasked to defend the flowers, I suppose. Like, all the plant life in the kingdom from evil forces. It's very, very slight setup. It's mostly just an excuse to get you out there on the grid and fighting enemies. And it seems like it's a very slight game in general. There are only a few stages. There are only a few sort of battlefields in which you fight monsters.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, this seems kind of like, a game this guy threw together so he could have the distinction of having like this limited release 3DS game and having the final 3DS game to come out. So
no, nobody would do that.
Yeah. So I was just like, okay, so how good could this possibly be? The answer is, I actually really liked it. I thought it was like really good. It was really surprising. Like from the opening, you load it up, and the logo, the title logo appears. The main theme, I suppose, starts up, and it just sounds like somebody just doing their very best impression of Hitoshi Sakamoto, who composed Final Fantasy Tactics. I was like, okay, this is ridiculous. They're really going for it. It goes into its sort of opening narration, and they got 2 of the like voice actors from Final Fantasy 12 to do narrate all the dialogue in this. And I recognized the first guy right away. I was just like, oh my god, that's just Balthier from Final Fantasy 12. What is going on with this game? So that was very surprising. It's kind of indicated that there was something a little more going on than this just, being developed to be the final 3DS game to come out.
Right.
But once you get into the battles, they're not quite as grand sort of scale-wise as the stuff in Final Fantasy Tactics, and especially not Tactics Ogre, but it's the same concept, where you just have your little characters. You have like a party of 5 or 6 characters, depending on which difficulty level you're playing on, and you move them around on a grid, and they all have different abilities you can use, and they are all sort of like flower or plant themed, just in line with everything else in this game. It's very silly. What I especially liked about it, though, is it's a quick game, like I was saying. Like, there are only 3 or 4 different maps that you play on. So you don't really have a lot of time to, like, level up your characters and everything, and give them a bunch of different equipment. In fact, it's so pared down that you don't even really have, like, stats on each character, or, like, numbers anyway. Each character will just have a few icons on their profile. They'll have, like, a few hearts for their health, and a couple of little, like, stars or spark things for their attack power and defense. And the way that combat actually takes place in this is you move yourself up to an enemy as you would in one of these other tactics games. And when you initiate an attack, a big spinner pops up on the screen, like you're playing a board game or something. And it has all these little sort of attack icons, and occasionally it'll have like defense icons based on that character's the number of little, like, shield icons that they have. Or it will just have some squares that are a miss. And then the spinner starts spinning around, and you just have to stop it at some point. And wherever the spinner lands, that's what happens on that turn. So you either do an attack, or if you stop the spinner incorrectly, your character misses, and they kind of waste their turn. So the first time I saw this, I thought, well, this is a little silly. But still somehow appropriate.
Yeah. And I was just actually looking at reviews of this game as you were describing it, and they're taking pre-orders for a physical edition, or I guess a second printing of a physical edition that include a little cardboard spinner.
Excellent.
You can flick and spin along with the game, presumably, I guess.
Yeah.
So I was like, why is that
along
in there?
In real life.
Immediately explained it. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I thought that was just a fun sort of additional layer on top of this thing. Execution-wise, it's a little mixed, because I found on the easy mode, it's very easy to just stop the spinner wherever you want it to land. So the first time I played this, it was on easy, and I think I got a critical hit on every single attack, and every single enemy attack missed, because I was able to stop the spinner on the miss space.
Oh, wow.
So pretty simple. The normal mode dials it up a little bit, because the spinner will, like, drift a couple spaces after you hit the button.
Oh, it doesn't, like, stop on a dime.
Yeah, but still, it was pretty easy to just, all I have to do now is just stop it 2 or 3 spaces ahead of where I want it to land, and then you're good. So normal mode, again, fairly simple. And then the hard mode, I think, is actually a little too difficult, because it will just stop a random number of spaces after you hit the button. So I was like, okay, well, then they might as well just not have it if you don't know how far it's going to move. But I really like the sort of the concept behind it, because I enjoy any sort of additional sort of thing you have to do in one of these turn-based games to make it so you're not just selecting things from a menu. Like, I appreciate that too sometimes, but it's nice to mix it up every once in a while.
Right. I want to clarify, actually, as I'm looking at this a little bit further, that it's not actually a spinner. It's the soundtrack on a CD that's printed to look like a spinner.
Oh, terrific.
Yeah. So my apologies for anybody who feels misled.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
Yeah, that sounds like fun, though. I appreciate anything. I mean, obviously, I've come out of a year or two now of consuming every sort of deck building video game that I could possibly find. So I appreciate anything that sort of shoehorns in card game or board game mechanics into a video game.
So I ended up really having a good time with this. It's not especially deep. Again, it's over fairly quickly, but it just seemed like such an interesting way to distill down, a huge and complicated game like Final Fantasy Tactics. It felt a bit like, remember the Fire Emblem Heroes, the mobile game?
Yeah. Yes.
Where it wasn't like, a full Fire Emblem battle taking place on your phone. They were just these little, like, 3 or 4 minute affairs. And again, just very simple. But I felt like that translated very well, at least for me, as somebody with limited Fire Emblem experience. I was like, I get it. I feel like I'm having some, like, miniaturized version of the Fire Emblem experience.
Right.
So I feel like they've done that with Final Fantasy Tactics here. And I kind of wish, I know it's just supposed to be this brief experience, but I would have loved to see it spiral out over, like, a few more battles. And, maybe have a chance to build up your characters a little bit just to take advantage of this cool sort of system they've come up with.
Well, maybe you'll see a sequel on the Switch someday that
Yeah,
blows this up. Yeah.
Fragrant Story 2.
Is this evocative in any way of Vagrant Story other than sort of the title play, or?
Oh, not
so much.
really at all.
Oh, okay.
No. I mean, it has the very similar soundtrack, but no, it's mostly, I think they were just going for the silly pun with the title.
Got it.
So I ended up playing through this. I played it on every difficulty, and after you've done that, there are these sort of challenge modes, which are like disconnected from the story. You can just do a one-off, almost randomized battle on some of the maps. And by doing that, you earn unlock points towards all these little like unlockable things, like bonus stats for your characters. I didn't get too into that because it felt a little grindy at that point. But I had a seriously good time going through just the main campaign. It was, really unexpected. And then to top it all off, so the first time I finished it, I was watching the credits, which, as you can imagine, it's mostly just this one guy. I should put his name in here. It's William Kage or Cage. I'm not sure if that's his real name. But as I'm watching these credits, it's like, oh, it actually was Hitoshi Sakamoto doing the soundtrack, so they somehow got him on this as well. So,
oh, wow.
I was just like, what is going on with this game? How does this guy have all these connections? Not sure what the deal is. So just full of surprises, Fragrant Story on the 3DS. And it's only a few dollars in the eShop. I don't know what the limited physical run is going for. But especially, if you're into Final Fantasy Tactics or just old Square RPGs and you're looking for something fun to play on the 3DS for a little while, definitely worth checking out. I feel like it's probably going to go under the radar for a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, $4, man, that's how could you not experiment at that point on it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at the credits now. It says William Kage or William Cage, director, producer, code, pixel art, music, and voice acting.
Yeah. I think he voices one of the main villain, which is kind of hilarious because it's like him and these two like established Final Fantasy voice actors. So that's fun.
Cool. I want to clarify my point from earlier that the newly released 3DS game in the eShop, this just came out on July 14th, so just a few days ago, is called Silver Falls: Ghoul Busters.
Cool. Not sure what to make of that title.
Yeah. Apparently it's a sequel to Silver Falls: Three Down Stars, a previous Nintendo 3DS game. With a story set in the early 1990s, draws on decades of inspiration of challenging, adrenaline-pumping, side-scrolling platforming.
All right. How many flower-related puns does it have throughout?
None that I can see in the description of the game. It's $10 on the eShop. So yeah, apparently still games being made for the 3DS. Apparently this developer is also currently working on a Wii U game.
Okay, well.
So some people just don't take the hint.
Just like, seems like a futile exercise.
So yeah, cool. I was not expecting this to be a positive thing. I really kind of felt like it was going to be a bit of a lark and you were going to, gently poke fun at it for 15 minutes. But super excited
it is a bit
that you
of a lark, but I think the developer was fully aware of that.
Yeah, clearly done with enthusiasm, though, and some degree of passion for the thing they were trying to pay tribute to.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually a really solid game, which was surprising. Like, Spinner could maybe use a little tweaking, but I think the mechanics are all very interesting. It's just so minimalist, just so easy to get into. You don't have to keep track of everybody's stats and affinities and all that stuff. I think actually the director of Final Fantasy Tactics and Vagrant Story could learn a thing or two.
Well, excellent.
So anyway, what have you been up to?
So I've been playing Time on Frog Island. We have joked a lot about sort of the recurring themes in the current spate of kind of cozy games and wholesome games. Mm-hmm. Frogs are definitely one of those things. Those recurring cozy game tropes. And in this, you're a little sailor who's a human, who's a real boy, who crashes on a island and it busts up your little sailboat. And the island is entirely populated by frogs.
Oh.
Like anthropomorphic, like walking on two legs. It's not like the Crazy Bunny Island in Japan. That's just like terrifying bunnies following everywhere. This is
I don't know if they're terrifying. Are bunnies terrifying?
Some of the videos I've seen are pretty terrifying, like swarms of bunnies.
Okay, yeah, well, if you have enough of them.
Yeah. Yes, 3 or 4 bunnies is fine, like several thousand of them coming for you.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure they were like, anthropomorphic frogs, because if you just said, oh, you're never going to believe this, we went to an island and there were frogs living on it.
Yeah.
I was like, well, that's not that special.
No, but like one of them is the mayor, and one of them
now
is an artist, and there's a language barrier. You don't speak frog, so you're trying to sort of network and get help and get parts to fix your ship, so you can no longer be stuck on Frog Island. So the frogs will like take a moment from their sort of daily activity to sort of like mime something to you, and you're supposed to sort of intuit from the little thought bubble or little speech bubble that pops up over their head what that is. So you're trying to find like 5 or 6 parts to fix your ship. So you just start wandering around the island and kind of like pushing the Y button on everything, and you can pick up a lot of things. You can interact with a ton of things, and you can sort of, air quotes here, talk to all of the frog villagers on Frog Island. And you eventually start sort of piecing together that there is a very sort of complex network of trades that you have to pull off to be able to get the thing that you need.
Very interesting.
So you're trying to get, for example, the what's it called? The sail repaired on your ship. And the artist will repair the sail, but he needs blue paint. And the only way you can get blue paint is by trading with the shopkeeper, and the shopkeeper will only give it to you if he gives you a lamp. If you give him a lamp. And the only way to get a lamp is to help the hermit who lives up in the woods. And on and on and on. So like every item, and each of the 5 or 6 items you need to fix your ship requires a series of even more arcane trades to get up to that point. And because there's no on-screen direction and nobody speaks English, you are left to sort of intuit and try to piece it together on your own. Which is a tiny bit frustrating initially.
I was going to ask, like, is this good? Is this... It sounds like, fetch quests the game, first of all.
Yeah.
And they don't actually tell you how it works.
I needed a little more in the beginning to like set me on the path. I sort of like, I figured maybe 2 or 3 steps I would kind of get my way to like the sale. But after I was doing like the 4th round of trading, I was sort of like, does this ever end? And how are there 6 more parts or 5 more parts of my ship I have to do this for? The good news is there's only like 10 occupants on the island.
Okay.
But a lot of the stuff they'll challenge you to do is like, hey, can you go up into the snowy mountains and bring back this rare flower that I can then use to make something? And that sets off a whole other sort of chain of events. So there is a degree of you sort of getting out of the village and exploring the greater island, which is pretty grand. It's surprisingly large. And has tons of little secrets, little caves and little pathways and trails. And again, there's thousands of things, not thousands, several things in the game that you can sort of pick up and interact with that will have some bearing on your ability to get around as well. Without sort of ruining the sense of discovery for anybody who wants to check out time on Frog Island, it's been very fun to sort of pick up some random thing that, I didn't know I could pick that up. And then, oh my God, it does that. So there's some fun little sense of discovery stuff that happens as you're exploring the island as well. That I think if the sort of the box art or the tutorial or the start screen said push Y to do this cool thing, it would have been less fun than sort of discovering it on my own. It was tough at the beginning because I need a list in the menu of all of my missions, and I need an inventory of all the stuff that I can carry around. And it's not that game. It is, you can carry one thing at a time. And it's humorous because you sort of carry it around like holding it straight armed above your head. And you run around the island with the lamp that the hermit gave you to give to the tradesman who runs the shop in the town square, and you sort of run through the village with it bouncing above your head. And you put it down at his feet, and then he gives you the next thing, and it's this whole like lather, rinse, repeat of trades.
That's excellent. It's like Batman carrying the bomb.
Yes, yeah. So I started like, you have a little home base. You have a couple little home bases where every night, because there's a day-night cycle in this game, naturally, you light a fire and you go to sleep and you wake up the next day and kind of, begin your next day of adventuring and trading. And so I started sort of like dropping stuff around my campsite going, I don't know if this is important, but it looks interesting, and I picked it up, and I don't want to put it down again because I don't know where if I'll find it again. So I just started dumping tons of crap on my little beach sleepy spot near my broken ship. So yeah, I don't know if that's what the developers intended, but in the absence of an inventory, I built one myself.
Yeah, I mean, whatever works. You have your little hoarder camp.
Yeah. So yeah, it very much was like a little hoarder camp. That's funny. So yeah, I was a little frustrated at the beginning because I wanted it to be some other kind of game, but then I just sort of embraced it, and I realized, it's not that game. I should just go with it. And then I actually made a couple of successful trades, and I sort of felt like, this seems within sort of my realm of reasonable achievements here. And most of the little frogs have kind of jobs that sort of intuit kind of where you're going with them. Like there's a guy working next to a fire with a hammer and an anvil, and I'm like, he's going to build something for me at some point. So again, there's enough clues to be able to kind of piece together sort of a general direction that person's trade is going to go in. But I was still a little frustrated initially at sort of trying to suss out what exactly I should be doing for each of these people who can't express themselves well to me, apparently.
Okay, but tell me again how they sort of clue you in and what they're looking for. Is it like
it's a little speech bubble?
Speech thing?
So like if you go up to the artist, and he's the first person you meet because he's sort of painting at the beach that you crash land on. I say person, he's the first frog you meet.
Sure.
And of course, because he's an artist, he has a little beret and a palette and a tapestry. Yeah. He's working at a tapestry, and he says something to you in frog language, and a little thought bubble pops up that shows a thing. It shows something. And he points off into the distance.
It shows you the item that he wants.
Kind of. It shows you like a blue thing. And because it's the first 5 minutes of this video game, you're not quite sure what he's showing you. Until you start wandering around the island and picking stuff up and pushing Y to sort of interact with other villagers and things like that. And then you start to sort of get the language of the game. You start to sort of see things in the environment that like, maybe that's the thing he wanted. And you bring it back to him, and he makes a little sad face and puts his hands on his hips, and you go, okay, it's not the thing you want. Let me see what else is blue that I can find in the environment.
Okay, but the dialogue between characters never gets more elaborate than some sort of abstracted idea of what they're looking for.
Correct. Yeah. Sometimes they'll sort of like convey timing to you, so they'll you'll get if you sort of finish a delivery for somebody or a trade with somebody, and they're like, okay, so like the guy who's working with the hammer and anvil, the iron worker, he doesn't just build it for you on the spot. He wants you to come back tomorrow. So his little thought bubble will have a little sun set next to it, and it'll say ZZZZZ next to it. So he's like, go to sleep, come back tomorrow. So again, as you sort of get further into this, you start to pick up on the little language cues, and you start to recognize some of the things in the images. But it's a game that benefits immensely from you just kind of running around and like touching everything, picking everything, poking at everything. So really kind of doubling down on the sort of the sense of exploration the developers probably clearly had in mind for this thing.
Well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I like the idea that there's just like this huge island, and it's very open-ended in terms of directing you around. Yeah.
It's interesting that, and I don't know how to sort of best express this without sort of again venturing into like spoiler territory. And yes, I understand it's silly to sort of be worried about spoiling time on Frog Island for people, but like it is a game that is very sort of clearly designed for you to kind of walk around and poke at things and see what they do. But once you fix your ship, the game is not over. There's more stuff. So you do get kind of this sort of like, oh, I didn't know it was going to go this way. So even beyond kind of the initial, like, this is what the game is about, there's more stuff. Because there are things on the island that you interact with, that you bump into, that you don't quite understand what the purpose of them is. There's characters that you don't do any trades with, and you're not quite sure, like, why are they in the game? Are they a red herring? Are they just there to take up space? Yeah. And once credits roll and you come back to the game to continue, all of that stuff sort of becomes a little more clear to you. And it's kind of like, oh, there's more game here. There's more things to do. There's more stuff that sort of builds on that trade economy, that builds on that sort of exploration that you were doing. So it's kind of pleasantly surprising that it sort of presents itself as this is what this game is. And then later you realize, oh, that's just sort of just the start. There's way more to this thing. Yeah. I'm being cagey, but I'm being deliberately cagey. Yeah. I'm having a good time with it. It's super fun. I've fixed my ship. Now I'm doing the other stuff. Well,
you said the credits rolled, so
yes.
You continue to play it, whatever's going on after you fix your ship.
Correct. Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I'm playing this on the Switch. It is also out for like the PS5 and Xbox and stuff like that. It's not super expensive, but it is very charming, very fun. No fail states. It's not a game where you get game over screens or anything like that. It very much sort of is within the realm of that sort of cozy game kind of vibe. But yeah, it has a cute, cartoony frogs that you're trading with and exploring and doing fun stuff. There are parts of it that sort of feel like, because the island is sort of built on a mountain, it feels a little bit like a short hike, where you're out kind of walking around and interacting with other people and sort of talking to others. In that game, everybody spoke English to you and stuff like that. So you didn't have the language barrier that you do on Frog Island, but structurally the layout of the island feels very similar to the little mountain park that you were exploring in a short hike.
Yeah. I was weirdly reminded of that game, because wasn't there like a little sequence where you had to trade items with people? Or you did that a few times, maybe. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
That sounds familiar, yeah.
Interesting to make that the central mechanic of the game, though.
Yeah. I'll point out to you, DJ, and to our listeners that when this game was first sort of revealed, a little while ago, it was initially called Trading Time. And that has gone away, and the game is now called Time on Frog Island. So I'm not sure why they changed their name. I don't know if they felt like maybe the title gave too much up or wasn't descriptive enough or whatever.
I think it's a much better title
than Time on Frog Island. Yeah, I don't.
Oh no! Time on Frog Island is so like trading time. I don't know what that is. I don't want to play that game.
So maybe they just weren't satisfied with sort of the quality of that title to go a different way with it. But yeah, so the final release version is called Time on Frog Island.
Yeah, well, it's very mysterious. What happened on Frog Island?
So yeah, it's a cool little game. I almost bounced off of it in the beginning. I wasn't making any trades. I was a little frustrated running around, and then it started sort of clicking. It just I was like, oh, I see now. I understand. So yeah, I would encourage folks to check this out.
Huh. All right. Well,
yeah. Maybe
it's time to spend some time on Frog Island.
Maybe. I mean, listen, if you're listening to this and you like frogs, have I got a game for you?
Can you do a trade with the Frog Detective?
No, that'd be amazing though.
Yeah.
Oh
man.
Yeah, that Frog Detective game was not great.
No, I didn't love it. I'm more and more I feel like I want to play the second one though. What's going on with that guy?
The developer has continued making Frog Detective games. Yeah. To the best of my knowledge, Time on Frog Island is not connected to the Frog Detective in any way.
Yeah. I will mention that I played a game in the last year or so in which the Frog Detective made a cameo, and it was delightful. And I'm not going to tell you what game it was, so it'll be a surprise.
Okay. Smash Brothers.
So I unlocked the Frog Detective in Smash Brothers, and he just murdered everybody.
That'd be amazing.
It would be.
I'm intrigued now. Okay.
It was Final Fantasy XIV. He was an optional boss.
See, now I can't tell if you're joking.
No. It's not Final Fantasy.
Cool. So yeah, that's it. Time on Frog Island. I liked it.
I'll check it out. We're going to do an all-frog backlog attack this year. Play Frog Detective 2, Time on Frog Island. What else am I missing?
I don't have it in my head, but there was a review I read for Time on Frog Island where they pointed out as well that, like, man, there seems like there's a lot of frogs in video games lately. And they listed, like, every video game that had just come out or was coming out that had a frog in some way, shape, or form in it. And it was a lot. There are a lot of frog games right now.
What was their threshold for qualifying as a frog game? Like, you either had to play as a frog or interact with frogs or something like that?
Presumably.
Because, like, if a game just has a frog somewhere in it, that's not a frog game.
Right, yeah. I mean, by that logic, Animal Crossing is a frog game.
Sure. But, I mean, I feel like Animal Crossing is more of a frog game than, like, I don't know, Monster Hunter. Occasionally you see frogs hopping around.
Final Fantasy 14.
I was going to say, there's a frog suit you could wear in that game. I see it all the time.
Oh, excellent.
I figured probably 50th percentile of frog games out there.
Yeah, let me see if I can find that list that they put in that review. I'd have to find the review first. Because I just typed in frog video games and I'm getting like Frogger.
Yeah, sure.
I'm like, all right, well, that's a little on the nose,
the
guys.
king
I
of
get
frog
it.
video games.
Right, exactly. The one that started it all. So yeah, let me get back to you on that.
All right, I'm dying to see this list now.
All right, well, we should wrap this thing up, I think, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
It's talking about frogs, talking about flowers.
All the important things.
What else do you need?
If you need any more video game hangover in your brain, you should follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/VGHangover. And you can always get show notes and links and tell us what you thought about this episode at VGHangover.com. You should join our Discord. You should start thinking about what games you want to play for the Backlog Attack this August.
Yeah.
Get more information about that at VGHangover.com. Please subscribe, rate, and review. Let me try that again. Please subscribe, rate, and review us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and all the other places where they have podcasts on the internet. And help us out by telling your friends about the show.
Yeah, we really appreciate that. Helps us spread the word about the show, pick up new listeners. It's a great thing you can do to help us out.
Yeah.
We want to give thanks again to Saria Lemus for our intro and outro music this week. Another great thing you can do is go to pettypanol.bandcamp.com. Listen to some more of our stuff there. Maybe buy an album or two. Maybe buy all of them.
Excellent. Well, that about does it. We will wrap the show up and be back in your ears next week. Until then, this is Randy Dickinson.
This is DJ Ross.
Thanks so much for listening to Video Game Hangover. Goodbye.
Good night.
See ya.